We're back on Politics Nation with big news in the corporate-backed Republican effort to suppress the vote. Today in New Hampshire, the Republican-controlled legislature voted to override Governor Lynch's veto of photo ID bills. And in the crucial swing state of Florida, a federal judge rejected the Justice Department's request to stop Rick Scott's voter purge. A lawyer says the purge may now continue, but Democrats are stepping up to fight. President Obama is prepping thousands of lawyers, more than ever before, for the coming election. Folks, they are relentless, which is why we must be vigilant and why we must keep eyes open and keep fighting. Joining me now is Ion Sancho, Supervisor of Elections for Leon County in Florida, and Judith Browne Dianis, Co-Director of the Advancement Project, an advocacy group that filed a separate lawsuit against the Florida voter purge. Thanks to both of you for joining me tonight.
Thanks, Reverend Sharpton.
Ion, let me start with you. A lawyer for the election officials say that the purge in Florida may continue. What do you make of it?
Well, it may continue, but quite frankly, I think that there won't be a purge in the state of Florida. One of the prongs that the judge used in denying the federal government's request for an injunction, Reverend, was the fact that since the state had stopped pushing it, the federal government couldn't prove irreparable harm, which was a critical element to get an injunction. Because basically 64 out of the 67 counties in the state of Florida have simply stopped purging and pursuing this program, and the state in its response today said it was not going to pursue the purge, which is sort of curious because in some sense the federal judge is saying a purge can continue, but the state of Florida saying we're not going to do it. And in terms of practical matter, the supervisor of elections aren't going to pursue this because the election is just too close at this point. Absentee ballots have to be in the mail within a week. The election is here for all practical purposes in Florida.
So when the lawyer says that the purge can continue, he may be technically right, but you're saying the supervisors have to get ready for the election, and you're saying the state itself is saying they're not going to move forward with this. So in effect, this has successfully stopped the purge that many of us feel is unfair.
Well, the purge has stopped, but I think if you look back over what's happened, the governor has emerged with I think a win-win situation for him, because he's energized his Tea Party base, who believes that, for example, that Obama stole the election in 2008 to begin with, and there are all of these dead people and illegals on the voting rolls, which you and I both know is a complete falsehood. But he's gotten away with that in the press here in Florida. And he doesn't need to have an actual purge. He's already intimidated and frightened many voters who are now concerned over whether their votes will count this November.
Judith, can you believe that some conservatives in Florida thinks Obama stole an election in 2008? But let me ask you, you filed a separate lawsuit. How do you view all of this in Florida, and how do you view the override of the voter ID veto by the governor in New Hampshire?
That's right. Well, Reverend Sharpton, Advancement Project's lawsuit is still around, and we're going to continue to fight this because we have to be vigilant. We actually were disappointed by the outcome of this particular lawsuit brought by the Department of Justice, because it actually does give the governor the green light to move forward on continuing to compile a list that targets particular voters. We know that that list, you were least likely to be on that list if you were white and Republican. And so he's now got the green light to continue to undermine democracy. And so we're not really sure that, as Ion Sancho is, that he's not going to move forward. And in fact, there are two particular counties that we've been hearing that they are continuing to move forward with this purge. But really important is that we have to put this in the context of what is happening across the country. What happened in Pennsylvania with the majority leader saying that, in fact, I mean, he exposed the whole plan. I mean, if Americans don't understand what's going on yet, they should have understood it yesterday when they heard those comments by the majority leader in Pennsylvania who said now Mitt Romney can win because, in fact, we have put voter ID in place. So what is this about?
He said he will
Hampshire?
win because of voter ID. I played the actual tape last night, and that's why many of us are out here fighting. And but we had one victory today for those of us that are against these laws. In North Carolina, they failed to move in terms of an override in that state. So that's one bright.
And look how many times they tried in North Carolina, and that's what this is about. It's relentless. It is a relentless effort to suppress the vote.
I've got to go. On Sancho and Judith Browne Dianis, thanks for your time tonight. And I want people to know we must, I don't care what your party, what your belief, we must protect the vote. All of these voter suppression schemes, we must all be against. I don't care how you vote, but I care that you have the right to vote with no impediments and no games. This is what people gave their lives for. We cannot let it be turned around now. Thank you for watching. I'm Al Sharpton.